right, Windy Moon. Morning, Joe. How many more loss of trust incidents can the crypto space withstand? And how can we better differentiate ourselves, Ergo, from those dodgy centralized actors in the space? Okay, so first question, how many more incidents can we withstand? I have no idea. Honestly, it's one of those things where to some degree, I have to scratch my head and say, how many times do people need to touch fire before they learn it is hot, right? I think some people will observe and kind of intuitively understand fire's hot, right? And that's the risk, and we should be careful. Then you have other people that just, don't understand that, burn themselves once, lose their keys to something, and they learn, and then I guess there are probably people that need repeated burns to learn. But that's a question for all humans, right? How, difficult or easy do you learn, right? Now, how can we differentiate ourselves from dodgy centralized actors? It's actually pretty simple, in my opinion, but it's difficult because you have people coming into the space and their motivation is greed. Their motivation is not like, oh, it's self-custody and that comes with a certain responsibility, and I need to understand my trust assumptions and protect myself, right? A lot of the time, the biggest motivator is greed. I think it's fair to just say that, right? There's a lot of people that come into crypto, they don't really understand the ethos or ethics or principles of why this technology exists. They just think Safe Moon is going to go to the moon because it's got moon in the title and also the word safe. So it should be safe that it moons, right? And there's a ton of that dodginess in the space. Now, can we say, okay, from a principled approach, what can people look at to try to understand their assumptions? Absolutely. And I think that's sadly lacking. We have a tremendous amount of YouTubers that are out there and TikTokers and whatever that, they run around and throw out big numbers and have an orgasm face and do a lot of emotional nonsense for excitement, right? And they're absolutely terrible educators. And I think ultimately that is the energy that's going to differentiate any person in the space that's, talking about cryptocurrency from a lot of the dodgy bullshit that goes on a regular basis, right? If I can educate someone, then maybe they'll learn fire is hot before, having to touch it, right? And that's what we need. I think that we have certainly tried, but, our visibility and, let's say, reach with that message is limited. But the reality is there are actually a fair amount of good actors in the space that do actively discuss this. They do actively try to teach people to understand their assumptions and quantify risk. But you also have this other crowd that's just like, hey, be greedy, follow me, and I'll take you to Mars, right? And it's sad. It's something I love the technology to some degree. I hate the space because, what does that do other than usually lead people right off a cliff? And usually the actor that is, kind of leading to the edge of the cliff doesn't go over the cliff and then pretends that they're a saint in some sense. It's weird to watch. But if you want to differentiate yourself, I would say education is key.